Started. This is iPad Basics. This is a 60-minute class. My name is Wade, and I'll be your guide for the class today. So the objectives for today, this class is really designed for people that are new to the iPad, as the name suggests. Maybe you've just gotten your first iPad and know how to turn it on, but not much more. But it's also appropriate for people maybe that have had an iPad for a while and are looking to do some additional things with it. We're going to talk about the different iPad models and features. We'll talk about how to find and use all the different buttons and controls on the outside of the iPad. Of course, we're going to spend most of the class talking about how to navigate within the iPad, going the different screens, what they do, how to navigate them, how to install and manage apps, and some other features. So there are 4 different models of iPad. The iPad normal, there's an iPad mini, which as the name suggests is a smaller version, the iPad Air, and the iPad Pro. And there's a website that Apple has that is really helpful if you're trying to compare the different models. Maybe you haven't purchased your iPad yet, or you're looking at upgrading to a different iPad. I'm going to jump to that website for just a couple of minutes. I'll include a link to this in the class notes as well, so you can come back and use it some more of it. It's a really nice website. It's basically saying which iPad is right for you, and it shows you the different models: the mini, the iPad normal, the iPad 10th generation, the Air, and the Pro. And you can scroll down through and see things like the price, which go from $329 up to $799. The size of the screens. And I'm not going to go over everything here. A couple of things I did want to call out that is that is important to some people is how you authenticate. And for some of them, there's a Touch ID in the home button. Some have the Touch ID in the top button. And then some use Face ID. Only the Pro right now uses the Face ID. I think they'll probably more of them will end up migrating to the Face ID. So if Face ID is important to you, then your choice is pretty simple. You need to go with the Pro. And also the connector. Everything is going to USB-C, but this basic iPad 9th generation is still using the Lightning connector. So I'll include a link to this if you want to take a look at it and compare the different models. So some of you may not be sure which of those models you even have if you're really new to iPads. So let me show you how you can find which model you have and also which operating system you have. So I've brought up my iPad here. And we're going to find the Settings app. And it looks like this. Yours may not be down at the bottom here where mine is, but it's going to look the same. So I'm going to touch Settings. And up at the top right, you'll see there's an About. Let's touch that one first, and it gives you lots of good information about your device. The name of the device, which you can change. I've changed mine. Which OS version you're on. So I'm on iPad OS 17.2. And which model you've got. So I've got that iPad 9th generation. And additional information all the way down to the model number and the serial number. Some additional information here. But the main thing here is the model name. So that's where you can find that if you're not familiar with which model you've got. I'm going to touch right here to go back. So we're going to go down to that next option, which is Software Update. And this, again, is going to tell you what version of the operating system you're on, but it's also going to tell you if you're up to date or not. So if you've got a version of the operating system you need to install and haven't yet, it's going to show you that here. And I also wanted to mention automatic updates while we're on this screen. And you can see mine is turned to on. I'm going to touch automatic updates. And you've got several options here. You can turn it on to automatically update, which is what I would recommend doing. That way, your iPad will always be updated. Apple will automatically update it for you whenever there's an update. So as you can see, I've got all three of these set to on. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Okay. Okay, let's talk a second about the different buttons and controls. There's quite a few, but they're fairly consistent across, but there's be some differences. There's the top button. That's the on switch. And it's also serves as the Touch ID on some of the models. We just were showing you that some have Touch ID in the top button, some have Touch ID in the home button. The two volume buttons. The home button on some models, they're phasing that home button out. That home button has moved pretty much on the newer models from the screen where the home button is up to this top button. What that does is it frees up more screen space. So you can, instead of having space on your screen for the home button, you can now add more content to the screen is why they're moving those. Your USB port, Lightning or USB-C, front camera, rear camera, and headphone jack in some. In some, you actually use the Lightning, the USB connection for your headphone jack. So again, there's a really handy site that Apple has, and I'll give you a link to this. So you can go and find where all this stuff is for your model, because we don't have time to go over all the different variations. And so I've got mine set to my device. I've got the iPad 9th generation, as we just saw. And so I can come here to see where all those things are. Here's the front camera, top button, the volume buttons. Mine does have the home button, so it's down here. And on the back side, there's the rear camera. There's a headphone jack here, smart connector here, and here's where the Lightning connector is on mine, or the USB. So you can kind of use this to find out which ones you have. You click on the table of contents to change it. So if I wanted to see, my wife has a Pro 11 second generation. So if I wanted to see where her information is, I just go here to the iPad Pro 11th second generation, and you can see where things are. Pretty similar, but there's a few extra things that hers has and a few things that are different places. She doesn't have the home button, etc. So I'll give you a link to this as well if you need some help finding this stuff. And it has lots of other information as well. This is also from the Apple website. The other companies than Apple offer auto updates. I'm guessing that Android does as well. I'm not sure. All right, so let's go back and now let's start taking a look at your iPad. And I'm going to move this over so you can see my iPad again. I'm going to change this, flip this sideways and see if it looks, that's a little easier to see, I think, isn't it? I'm going to flip it over this way, even though I'm going to have to make the slide a little smaller, but it's probably more important to see my screen. I can tell you what we're talking about. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. And if you can see what I just did, you can turn it either way. You can flip it up and have it be portrait mode, or you can turn it and it'll flip over to landscape mode, whichever way you prefer to use. Works the same either way. And so this is the home screen. And there are several different home screens. If I put my finger anywhere and swipe, I can go through the different home screens. And of course, the home screen is where you have apps, and we're going to talk more about apps in a few minutes. But at the very top of the home screen, there's some additional information. Here's the date and time. And over here shows your Wi-Fi connection, your battery life remaining, some basic information on this top row. And then down below the apps, you'll see what's called the dock. And this part is the dock. These are where you can put the apps that you use most often. It's called a dock because they stay there. Even when I go screen to screen, my dock doesn't change. So you want to put the apps you use most frequently in the dock, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. And then there's a little vertical bar here. To the right of that vertical bar are the most frequently used apps. So these are the ones that I've used most frequently and or most recently. So I can get back to those quickly. And then the last thing over here is the app library. And we're going to, two ways to get to the app library. We're going to talk more about it in a few minutes, but you can touch there and go to the app library. The other way to get to the app library is from, oops. It's from any screen. If you just keep swiping, you'll get to the app library. So two ways to get there. Now, there's a couple other screens that you can't see that are important to know about. One is called the Control Center. And to get to the control center, you got to come up to the upper right-hand side, put your finger at the top and slide down. And that will drag down the control center. So this is the Control Center. A lot of useful information here. This is where you can put your iPad into airplane mode if you're going in an airplane. You can turn on and off the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, and from here and cell. You can turn on Do Not Disturb from here. And down at the bottom, there are useful apps that you can put here to get quick access to these. So, for example, if you wanted to quickly check an appointment or set a timer, you can just open here and then touch this app. That's the timer app. I can touch that, and it takes me right to my alarms and timers. This is the silence. In another class, we'll talk about Do Not Disturb, but this is another way to turn your iPad off. So if you want to silence it, you can click there, and it will turn off all noise coming from your iPad. So it's a quick way to silence it. If you're in a meeting or in church and forgot to turn it off, that's a quick way to do it. There's also a magnifying glass here. Lots of little helpful apps, and you can control which apps are showing up here. To do that, we're going to go back into settings quickly. Settings app. And over here on the left-hand side, you'll see a Control Center. And this shows you the controls that I'm currently seeing. So these are the ones we were just looking at: the silent mode, the timer, the alarm, stopwatch, the magnifier. And down below it are other controls that you can add if you want them. So if I wanted to put the quick note up there as part of my control panel, I would just touch that little red-green circle. And it's now added it to the top section. You can even rearrange it. It's a little hard to see, but there's a little triple bar over here. So I could put my finger on it and move it up if I wanted it right before the camera. Now, if I go back to the Control Center, you'll see that additional item added. There's the quick note. Questions about the Control Center? And to get rid of the Control Center, just touch on your screen anywhere, and that will go away. The last thing I want to talk about from the home screen is the lock screen. And to get to the lock screen, you put your finger over on the left-hand side and pull down. And this brings you to the lock screen, which is where you have the notification center. So this is the thing I want to talk about here. So you can see notifications that have come in since the last time you checked. So I can see the notifications. If you want to respond to any of them, you can respond. If you see something there and you're not interested in seeing it, you can just put your finger on it and slide it over to the left and click clear. Take it out of the notification center. If you want to wipe everything out, you can hit the plus up here and clear all. But that's the notification center. I'll pause for questions again. No questions about the home screen. We were just talking about the notification center. Let's talk a little bit more about notifications. There's typically lots of questions around notifications. We're going to go back into settings again. So we're going to click on setting. And there's a question, what's the point of notifications? Okay, we're going to talk about that right now. So let me click here. And we're going to go to notifications, which is right here. So notifications, there's two parts to notifications. The different apps on your phone, and they're down here, send out notifications, and you can control from there if you're sending them out or not. And then your iPad controls how it displays them to you. So the top part is how the iPad displays, and you got three options here. You can have it just give you a count at the bottom of the screen. So you've got 10 notifications. Here it stacks them kind of neatly at the bottom so it doesn't take up all the screen. Or you can have a list like I do where it takes up most of the screen, but it's easier to see them. It's your choice. You've got to pick one or the other. You can't do all of them. So just touch the one you want and it'll turn blue. So you've selected that one. Now, I'm going to skip over some of this other stuff because we're really just hitting the high points today in this intro class. Now, here's where you can go into each specific app and control how notifications are received. So let me go into Amazon. And so this is where I can say whether I want notifications from Amazon or not. Maybe I don't want to get notifications from Amazon, so I can just turn it off right there. If I do want notifications, I've got quite a bit of flexibility to set up how I want to see those notifications. You can have them show up on the lock screen, in the notifications center, or as a banner. The banner actually pops up on your screen in real time, stays there for a short period of time, and then goes away. And this, you can pick any or all or none. You can turn all these off. So I'm going to put mine back like I had it. Notification center and banners. The banner style. So when this little notification banner pops up, you got a little control over that as well. You can make it be temporary or persistent. Temporary means it's going to show up and go away. Persistent means it's going to stay there until you do something. You can also control if you want it to make a sound or not. Turn that on and off. Oops. Just by touching here. And once you've got that like you want it, you can just touch here where it says notifications, go back and work on the next one. You can see from here how you've got it set up for the most part. So you can tell like calendar, I've got turned completely off. If I go and turn that on, I can come in and turn it on and set it up. This question, what's the difference between an iPad and a laptop? Well, yeah, an iPad is actually closer to a smartphone than to an iPhone than it is to a laptop, whether that's a Mac or a Windows. Of course, it's a totally different operating system. If you're talking about a Windows laptop, they're totally different. They both run browsers, but beyond that, there's not much similarity. There's a lot of similarity between an iPad and an iPhone. There's like a 90% overlap. So if you use one of them, you can pick up the other one really fast. But either a Mac laptop or a Windows laptop is a totally different animal. Good question, though. Okay, so let's go back to the home screen. We're going to keep moving through and talk about apps. So here's all the different apps that you have on your screens. And the way you get apps, when you get your iPad, it's going to have a lot of apps on there already. Apple has a lot of their own apps, and those come pre-populated, so it's not going to be blank when you get one. But you can add third-party apps by going to the App Store. And the App Store looks like this. It's got an A. I'm just going to click into the App Store quickly to show you how that works. So if I want to add a new app, maybe somebody was telling me about Fubo. So that's a great app. If you're into sports, you need to put it on your phone or your iPad. I can just come up here to the search, touch there, and start typing in. And I've typed in enough that I've got several options here, Fubo TV. And it'll take you to a screen where it shows you several things that fit what you were asking about. And this is the one that I was looking at, watch live TV and sports. So I would just touch Get, and it's going to download. I have to touch my home button to authorize it. And it's going to install that app. I'm not going to sit and wait for it to install. Any questions about the App Store? Like most sites, if you don't have a particular thing you're looking for, you just want to kind of scroll through and see what's out there that you can install. You can just scroll through and see tons and tons of options. And there's different filters here that you can use to filter what it's showing you. But if you already know what you're looking for, then you would just go straight in and search for it. And you see now it's back down here in my recently used. Now, a couple of questions in the chat. How do you uninstall an app? I'm going to talk about that just a couple minutes. What happens if you had turned on the calendar? It would have set up notifications. Is that what you're talking about? If I turned on the notifications for the calendar, then I'd have started to get notifications when anything in the calendar was set to send me a notification. So for example, if I had set up to send notifications 10 minutes before a meeting was supposed to start, 10 minutes before the meeting, I'd get that notification. And there's a question about how do you know how much apps cost? When you go to download it, it will tell you if there's a cost. Most of them, you can download a free version, and then within the app, they're going to start saying, oh, there's a premium version. Would you like to upgrade to the premium version? And you can choose then if you want to upgrade or not. But it will tell you when you go to download it if there is a price for the app. All right, so let's talk about organizing these home screens. So we talked about them, and you can move things around. And the idea typically for most people is to put the apps you use most frequently on this first page, and then maybe rearrange the other screens other ways, like by type. So one way to move things around is just to press and hold anywhere on the screen until it starts to jiggle and you have a little minus side. And that is in organized mode. So if I want to take this app and move it down to the bottom, I can just put my finger on it and drag it down to the bottom and drop it there. If I want to move it to the previous screen, I can put my finger on it and drag it, push it off the edge of the screen, and now I'm on the next screen. There's Fubo. It made its way onto my screen. It's already downloaded. I'm going to move it back so I can push it off the other side and move it back to the screen where it was. So pretty easy to move things around and organize your home screens. When you're done, just touch anywhere and it'll stop jiggling. And you can kind of preview if things are where you want them, and if not, move them around a little bit more. Now you can make your own folders, and you can see I've got a folder here. You probably can't read. This is streaming channels. But if I open that folder, it's got all my streaming channels in it: Hulu, Peacock, Disney. So the way you can create and update folders is get it back in the organized mode so that's jiggling. And if I want to put Fubo into my streaming channels, all I have to do is just go over the top of it and drop it. And you can see it's now dropped in there. If I want to get it out, I can just touch the folder to open it. And now I can drag it out and drop it outside. To start a new folder, you would, this doesn't make much sense, but I'm going to start a folder that has Google, Fubo, and SiriusXM together. So, oops. All right, let me put it over Google. We'll put it there. Just put it over the other app and drop it. And now they're in a folder together. What happens to me, lots of times I accidentally do that. I didn't mean to make a folder, but I do. Easy enough to fix. Just get it jiggling again, open the folder, drag the first one out, go back in, drag the second one out. The folder goes away automatically. There's a question about widgets. We may not have time to get to widgets. We'll cover widgets more in another class, and I'll put a link to that. But these are widgets, so I'll talk about widgets at the end of class if we have a little bit of time. There's a question about how to free up space and add space. Again, we're not going to have time to talk about getting into those levels of topics in this class today. That's more of a iPad intermediate topic. We will talk about getting rid of something. Somebody was asking about that. That is something you may want to do because I just put this on for class today. I really don't want it. So if I want to get rid of that, there's several ways to do it, but the easiest way is just to go ahead and put your finger on it and hold it. And you'll see several options pop up, but the top option is Remove App. So I'm going to touch that. And it gives me 3 different options: delete the app, remove it from the home screen, or cancel. Cancel means I changed my mind. If I want to get rid of the app, I downloaded it, I tried it, I don't like it, I can delete it. And I'll do that first. And it's going to confirm, do you really want to get rid of this? It's going to delete the app and all of its data. And I do. Boom, it's gone. Another option is you might want to take something off of your home screen, but not actually take it off of your iPad. And I'm going to pick on SiriusXM here. So I'm going to press and hold. And again, come to Remove App. This time, I'm going to say Remove from Home Screen. So I'm going to touch it. And it's gone. So just looking at my screen, I can't really tell the difference from the one I got rid of and the one that I didn't, the one that I just took off my home screen. That brings up the discussion about the app library. Whenever you install an app, it goes into the app library. We mentioned that earlier. And you can take it off your home screen and it will stay in the app library. So all apps don't have to be on one of the home screens. So I showed you a couple ways to get to the app library. I'm going to touch down here to get there quickly from the screen where I am. So this is the app library. So every app that's on your iPad is in the app library, whether it's on a home screen or not. And there's several ways to navigate the app library. And you can see that it's got things put into folders. So I don't really have to create folders like I showed you since these folders already exist. One reason you might want to create your own folders is you can't change what goes into these folders. Apple controls them. So if I thought SiriusXM and there's SiriusXM, it's still here. That's the one that I took off the home screen. If I wanted it in the social folder, I can't move it into the social folder. If I create my own folders, I can put them anywhere I want. But this is a handy way to find things. They're organized into folders. Now with the folders, if there's something here that's a large icon like the F here, Facebook, these 3, I can touch one of those and it just opens. If I want to get to one of these other ones, I have to touch this bottom right corner. That's going to open the whole folder and I can see everything in the folder and I can touch any of these apps and open that app from here. So if I want to open LinkedIn, I can touch there and open LinkedIn. To close this folder, I'll just touch anywhere and it collapses the folder back. So that's one way to navigate the app library is using the folders. The second way is an alphabetical list. And to get to the alphabetical list, you just touch up the top where it says app library. And you can see I've now got a list alphabetically of all my apps. And I actually have a little alphabet over here. So if I want to jump to Walmart, I don't have to scroll all the way through. I can touch, oops. I touched and opened it. Let me touch the button. Sometimes it's hard to get those little letters. My fingers are fat sometimes. So you can touch that a letter and it'll take you straight to that letter. And then I can get to Walmart from here. And one thing I like to point out with this particular option is that's nice is you can see the icons. And you can actually see them faster scrolling through here than you can going screen to screen to screen. Because sometimes I know the app that I want, but I don't know what the name of it is. So I just scroll through here until I find it. So that's the second way you can navigate the app library is by using the index. Now, the third way is to use the search. So if I do know the name of it and I want Walmart, I can just start typing Walmart and it brings up typically 3 letters is all you need to enter, sometimes only 1 letter. And I can open Walmart. And I would hit cancel up here to go back to where we were. Questions so far? Let me check the chat. There's a couple other ways to get to an app, and you don't have to be in this app library screen. And I'll show you a trick in the meantime here. If you pull up from the bottom, you can bring up that dock anytime, anywhere. So I did that, and it brought me back to one of my normal screens. Let's say I'm on my main screen here, and I don't want to go to the app library, but I want to find Walmart, and it's not on the screen. You can put your finger anywhere except on an app and pull down, and it'll pop up a search menu. I can type Walmart there, and there's Walmart. And of course, the last thing you can do is you can let Siri do it. So you can say, hey, Siri, open Walmart. And Siri will do it as well. Of course, you have to know the name of it to use Siri, but if you know the name of the app, that's a quick way to find it as well. So lots of ways to access the apps on your iPad.
Wade?
Uh-huh.
The menu bar on the top of your iPad to the right, it has the battery and the percentage of the battery. Did you put all those things there?
Nope, that's there automatically. I think there may be a setting somewhere where you can edit that, but
Okay.
yeah, I haven't done anything with those. I know on the iPhone you can. I haven't looked for that on the iPad to see if you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, while we're talking about the app library, there are some settings related to the to apps in the app library. So we're going to go into settings again. And over the left-hand side over here, we're looking for home screen and app library. So I'm going to touch that. And the first option here is to use large app icons. And I've got that turned on. Let me turn it off and go back and see if you can tell the difference. So now these icons are smaller. It's going to be the same number of icons on the screen. But let me go back in this time and switch it back to be large. And now they're larger. So personal preference, but if you want to check that and see which one you like better, I like the large one better. When you download a new app from the App Store, this where you control what you want to happen. Do you want it to add it to the home screen or not? I've got mine set to automatically add it to the home screen, but if I wanted just to put it in the app library, but not put it on a home screen, you can move that little checkbox over here to change the option there. We talked about the dock. So you got an option to show the app library in the dock. Mine is turned on. Let me turn that off. I can show you what that does. So now the app library, which is over here down at the bottom right, is gone. I'll go back, turn it back on, and now it's back. So that's how you control. I think it's handy to have it there. You may think that it's in the way. And then show the app show notification badges in the app library. So the badges are little things that tell you you've got something like this. This is a badge. This says I got 25 notifications in my LinkedIn app that I need to go look at. So that's where you can say whether to show that or not. So just a few other settings you can set to control what things look like. And one thing I forgot to show you that I meant to show you is you can configure what's in your dock. So let me go back and make this jiggle again, because it's just like any other part of the home screen. Let's say I want the Google to be down here in my dock. I can just drag this down and put it in there. I'm not sure how many you can put total. Eventually it's going to fill up, but you can add things. If you don't want them in there, you can take them out. So you can control what's in this part. This is the dock from this little vertical bar to the left. But that's how you can add additional items to your dock. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll show you a quick trick here. Sometimes it's handy to have more than one app open at the same time. So let's say I'm in my notes app looking at something, and I want to bring up another one. I want to check something here with something else. You can see this little triple dot, a little more button up here right at the top center of the screen. If you touch that, it gives you a split view option. So I'm going to touch that split view, and it kind of moves the one I was looking at over to the side and opens up my home screen so I can pick what I want to see beside it. And I want to open my reminders right beside it. So now I've got two apps open, my notes and my reminders. I can work on either one independently. So it's really handy if you need to copy and paste something from one app into another app, or even just check what's in something and that you need over here. You can pop them open at the same time. Now, if you're done with this one and you want to get rid of it, just touch the triple dots at the top again and say close. Simple, but a handy little trick that I find useful a lot. Okay, we're doing good. Let me show you the app switcher, and then it looks like we are going to have time to briefly talk about widgets as well. So the app switcher is where you can see open apps, and to get to it, you go to the bottom of your screen and slide up. And it shows you all the apps that are open. Because when you open an app, it stays open in the background. It doesn't close just because you move on to another app. So here's the ones I was just in. So you can scroll back through these. And if I want to go back and take a look at something I was looking at earlier, I can go back and touch one of those and bring it back open again. I don't have to go in and navigate to where I was. So now that one's back here at the top. Now, so that's one handy thing for this is you can go back and pick up where you were with another app. The other thing is sometimes you got an app that's acting up. Maybe you're getting noise and you want it to shut up. You can just put your finger on any of these and slide them off the top, and that will close it. So now it has been taken off. I'm going to get rid of Walmart. So I push it off the top. It closes Walmart, and everything else shifts over.
Wade,
Yes. Mhm.
could you show that again? I
Yeah, just
couldn't.
put your finger at the bottom and slide up. Now you have to slide up about halfway up the screen.
Ah, it didn't work the first time, but it did work this time.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's kind of a tricky motion. So sometimes that one's a little tricky.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions here. I'm going to say the copy and paste. We typically cover that one in the intermediate. If we have time, we'll get to it. But I did want to go and talk about widgets, since that is more of an intro feature, and somebody's already asked about this. This is a widget. What a widget is a widget is an app that where it shows you the contents of the app without having to open the app. In fact, this particular widget is the Apple weather. So if I didn't have this widget, I wanted to see what the weather was, I would have to touch that app, wait for it to open, and see my information. With the widget, I can see a lot of information right from here, the high and the low today, what the current temperature is, what's the temperature for the next few hours, for the next few days. So it's a way to get extra information. This is a widget for Yahoo Mail, so I can see the 4 most recent emails that I've gotten. And the widget acts like the app in that if I want to open my email, so maybe I've been watching for an email, so I just kind of check my widget, and there it is, it just popped in that I've been looking for. I can just touch that widget and it opens the app. So let me show you how to install a widget. I'm gonna move to a less empty screen. Okay, let's go here. This will work. I'm going to touch and hold like we've done several times now. And in the upper left-hand corner, that's where you add widgets. So you tap plus, and it has a list. You can scroll through and see the widgets here in the center, but there's a listing on the side. Now, every app doesn't have a widget associated with it. Some do, some don't. More and more are being added all the time. But if I wanted to add the, let's pick a good one. I haven't looked at this one before. Hulu has an app, so I'll touch the Hulu. And so you can see that there's different size ones when you scroll. I'm just swiping left to right, and it shows me the different sizes. I don't much like this one. Let me pick one that works a little better. Let's pick NBC News. So I'm gonna, if you look at the bottom, there's 4 different sizes. So I'm gonna swipe. And that looks like a small, I call that medium. Here's a large one, even larger. So if I want to get that really big one, I would just say add widget once the one that I want is showing there. And it's now added that widget. If I decide, whoa, that's too big, let me get rid of that. It's just like with an app, just press and hold. It pops up some options. One of the options is to remove the widget. And you have to confirm, and it's going to let me know I'm just removing the widget. I'm not deleting the app, so it's not going to affect my data. It's just going to take that widget off. And so now it's taking it off. I accidentally put that one on. Let me get that one off too. So that's what widgets are and how to add a widget to your screen.
Wade, would you show again how you get that widget thing open? How you
Sure.
started that?
Just press anywhere on the screen other than on the top of an app. Hold until it starts to jiggle. And then it's up in the upper left-hand corner.
Okay.
The
Got
little
it.
plus sign up there.
Thank you.
Now, one other quick tip around widgets is that, let me see if I've done this. I've done it already. I also put something else in here. You'll notice one thing about widgets, they take up a lot of space. You can do what's called stacking a widget. And here I've got both my weather channel and my Apple weather in the same spot. I just put my finger and I swipe down. Over here, I've got lots of news related widgets in here, same place. So what you can do if you want to stack widgets is install the new widgets you want, and maybe don't make a lot of sense, but I'll use it just an example. I want to stack this into this stack. I want to put this widget into that stack. Again, press and hold. And it's just like creating a folder. You just take that widget and drop it on top. And now it's in there with these other widgets. If you don't like that, and I don't particularly like that, you can edit the stack. And I can take that one out. I'm going to hit the minus sign. And it'll take that one. It's going to confirm. Do you want to remove Yahoo Mail from the widget stack? And say, yep. And now it's back to just my news. Questions about the widgets?
Where did your Yahoo Mail widget go?
So it went away. So if I want to get that back, I can just bring it back. I'll go back and I'm going to hit the plus up here again. And I'll show you how to quickly, if I know what I'm looking for, I can actually just search for it. And I want my Yahoo. And there's Yahoo Mail.
Mhm.
And again, I get the choice of what size I want. This was the size that I had. That's the size I like. I'll say add that widget. And now it's back. And I can move it over here where it was. And everything's back like it was.
Is it possible to edit the size of a widget you've already got? You don't want to lose it. You just want to change the size of it?
You cannot. What you have to do is do what I just did. If I want to go with the bigger one, I'd have to delete this one and then install the larger one.
Okay.
So
Thank
it's a couple of extra steps, but yeah, you don't really lose anything in the process. You just get rid of this version of the widget and install the larger version. Yeah, so there was a question about copying and pasting. Let me see if I can find something here. So if you want to copy something, just press, and it's going to put a little box around it with the little buttons on either side, and then you can drag this down to be what you want to copy. And the word copy pops up. So I can copy this, and then I can go to wherever I want to paste it and paste that. I'll create a new note. Press and hold, paste, and I've copied and pasted. You need to see that again? Is that too fast? It's another one that sometimes it's a little tricky to get that to work right. So if I want to copy this paragraph, just touch where you want it to start until the little box highlighting comes up with the two circles, and then grab the circle and pull it down where far you want to take it. Maybe I just want to take down to here and stop and hit copy, go where I want to put it and paste it. It works pretty much any apps. Some apps you can't copy or paste into and out of, but most